Yes, it's me, Mike Stone, and this is the Backseat Driver Podcast. This episode is brought to you by Gas Shocks, home of the 116 Trophy and 120 Coupe Cup. Hoddy Tyres, find the best tyres for your vehicle, supplying all the top brands to keep you covered in every season and every condition. Tarox Brakes, the art of slowing down, precision engineered in Italy for ultimate performance, and Specialised Automotive Services, specialists in high-quality automotive maintenance and classic car restoration. You can find the details of all our proud sponsors for this episode in the show notes. Recently, somebody did a survey and they worked it out that you have a 1 in 3 chance of owning a Porsche. All well and good. I suppose you have to be a car enthusiast to want a Porsche. It's also been worked out that it is even less than a 1 in 3 chance that a woman will own a Porsche. Apparently they are not a car women buy. Well, today's Backseat Driver guest is proof that she is not part of the average percentages. So I'd like to introduce the Backseat Driver, Sarah Rhodes. Sarah, welcome to the Backseat Driver.
Oh, thanks, Mark. How are you?
Not too bad. How did this come about? Why am I talking to a lady who is Porsche through and through?
Well, I'm one of those ladies who have a husband who likes to buy Porsche, so I've been quite lucky. But my sort of love affair began way before I met him. So I'm a 54-year-old lady, and back when I was a child, I had a neighbour who turned up one day with a brand new 924.
Yeah.
And I thought this car was awesome. It was beautiful, it was bright red, it was sleek, it was fun. My dad, I think at the time, had a Volvo, so this Porsche was just... And I tell you what, my head was turned. And he used to cart us kids around in it, and I thought it was just the business.
Yeah.
And so, I sort of became kind of obsessed back then.
Yeah.
And then as I got a little bit older, my head got turned towards the 911s and...
Proper ones.
Proper Porsches, yeah. Not the pop-up lights anymore, but...
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a 924, apart from the fact that technically, like the 914 before it was a Volkswagen and Audi. The 924 technically should have been an Audi, but like the 914, they bailed out, so Porsche ended up taking it on, and it turned into successful Porsches.
I mean, it was, I think, one of their first really popular cars, which sort of got launched, wasn't it? So,
well, technically, they were affordable. The 911 was still for many an aspirational car, but the 924 was affordable, and because it was a more traditional layout of engine up front, driving the rear wheels, and it was comfortable, where 911s haven't always been the most comfortable cars.
Right. No, I mean, these 924s, I mean, you see them shows, they're brilliant, they're lovely, and it's a real sort of blast from the past. But, I really like what you said about aspirational, because when I was a 20-something working in an office, I got sent by my boss to do some training. And the lady sort of wrapped up the 3-day conference by saying, right, I want all of you to get a scrap of paper, and you've got to keep this secret amongst yourselves, but you're going to write on it what your dream is. And you're going to take that back to your offices next week, and you're going to fold it up and stick it in your drawer and forget about it. And I can guarantee whatever you wish for, you will get at some point in your life.
Yeah.
And on my piece of paper, I wrote, I want to own a 911. And it happened. I mean, I had to wait quite a few years.
Yeah.
But, we joke when I was dating my husband, and I was in my sort of early 30s at that point, he would come into my office and I would have this Sarah's goals wall.
Yeah.
And I had a boss at the time who was quite happy for me to stick pictures up. I mean, I had one of Tom Cruise up there, but I never married him. I bought this instead. But one of these pictures was, it was a Porsche GT, a Carrera GT. Now, I haven't got one of those yet, but, it was always, Porsche was always what I wanted. And, I got there. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I mean, the thing was back, I mean, I am a little bit older than you. Not a lot, but a little bit older than you. The one thing, as before we went on air, we were discussing, I like the early Porsches. But the one thing about 911s, until the modern incarnation of them, which, as you know, I'm not a major fan of, they were a very Spartan car, and they were notoriously difficult to drive. And during the era of the yuppies, the 911 Turbo did a cracking job of keeping them thinned out, because if you're not careful with a proper 911, you will exit a corner backwards and then disappear through a dry stone wall and away into the scenery. While you were dreaming about them, did you look into the fact that they were a difficult car to drive?
Well, I mean, yeah, there was that lovely Widowmaker one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Sorry,
yes,
there's
the
a
Widowmaker,
you've
the
just
turbo.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved how the 911s looked in the 80s. I was a real 80s girl.
Yeah.
I loved the music, loved the style, loved everything about it, and I loved the 911 Turbo.
Yeah.
But it was a beast.
Yeah.
And it was batshit crazy and, terrible oversteer. Very abrupt with power.
It was on or off. That was the problem with turbo cars. I mean, the other one that used to, shall we say, keep the populace numbers down was the Saab turbos, because as soon as the turbos cut in, away you go with enthusiasm, or more enthusiasm than you were anticipating.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I got my first Porsche. Now, this is my very own, not my husband's. He's had about 14 or 15 so far. And, you go in and you place your order. And I waited two years after mine got spec'd up and it arrived. And I never.
So your first one was a new one?
Yeah, brand new. So I have, my current is a lovely Ruby Star 992.1 called Julie. And I had a sharp blue one before her. And, Porsche, bless them, I didn't get offered a drive or anything in one of their current ones. I kind of just went in blind.
Yeah.
And
I suppose the other thing in, just butting in, a lot of them would think if you went in that either dad was buying it for you or hubby was buying it.
Or husband, exactly. I mean, this is exactly, it's a lovely community, but it is quite male dominated. And, the fear was that, I didn't even know how it's going to handle or how to drive. And of course, Porsche are great. When you buy a new Porsche, they send you to Silverstone to their centre and you get to drive. But it was quite sort of scary sitting behind the wheel.
Yeah.
And putting your foot down. But oh my God, it's driving a Porsche is, to me, heaven.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's, it can be daunting, and you can do your kind of foot down, off you go, and it's so quick and so responsive. So, they're sort of cars that you're kind of brave about, but oh boy, are they so much fun to drive. Love them.
And the other thing is, when you bought yours, you'd be buying air-cooled, wouldn't you? And there's nothing, I'm sorry, modern 911 owners, but no matter what you do or what you say or what Germany do to them, or Finland if they're still making them there, nothing sounds like an air-cooled flat six on full chat.
Oh, yeah, I agree. They are amazing. I love a Porsche sound, and they sound the best.
And the great thing about Porsche is, and I mean, the problem is now, a lot of history and a lot of heritage is forgotten about because modern people don't have a habit of not looking back. But the history of Porsche, they built, I mean, the 356 is a stunning car. The derivatives of them, like the 550 Spiders, the famous one that James Dean was killed in. I mean, they were very basic cars. They were a daily car. That's the great thing about a Porsche. You could race a 911 at the weekend, and one of the cars that I rallied on 2 occasions and had the chance to buy and didn't, the 912, which was a 911 with a 356 engine. You could race them, rally them, and go to work in them and go shopping in them, couldn't you?
Yeah, we were chatting about that earlier, weren't we?
Yeah. Yeah,
you'd rock up, you'd take your dressing gown off, get your packed lunch off out of the boot, and, all of a sudden you could take it out on a track and just be somebody completely different.
And you even got vinyl seats and rubber mats and things like that. That's how basic they were. That's what they were meant to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I loved the 80s Porsches. And then in the 90s, I remember going with an old boyfriend to go and look at one. And it was so plastic inside. You're right, there was nothing. You had to buy everything as options. And I thought, I've got this car in my mind. I've had this car in my mind for so many years. It's my car idol. And I suppose, I don't know, a little bit of a letdown when you got into it. And luckily now, Mark, with the nice new ones, you know, they are very different, and you get a lot for your money, and you can have a lot for your money. So I think they realised that they should maybe pretty them up a wee bit. Yeah. It worked.
Now, the one thing you've become involved with is forming a club. And it's like I said, your club is Ruby and the Blonde. So as you said, your Porsche is Ruby and you're the Blonde.
I am, yes. It's being my girl car.
How did this come about? Because it is an organisation for women who own or drive Porsches. I mean, from we were saying, these stats that have been worked out, technically there's not many of you.
No. I mean, when you go to your average Porsche meet, it's mostly men. And some of these men might bring their women along.
Yep.
And some of the women look a little bit bored.
Yeah.
Some of them are very enthusiastic like myself. I was always lucky enough to rock up to these meetings either in my own car or driving my husband's car.
Yeah.
You know, we both have Porsches now, so we take both cars. Or you'd also find, you know, the odd single woman who you'd get chatting to, and they would always sort of say to you, it was so nice, you know, there's another lady here. I always feel a bit uncomfortable. The men look at me like, you know, I'm after a husband, and the women look after me like I'm after their husbands.
Well, do I not be funny? Don't take this wrong. I've been to certain events, not just Porsche, but a lot of the glamour sports car events and glamorous cars, and the women tend to be looked upon as accessories.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pretty ladies out there attached to pretty cars with their very nice husbands. So,
well, I suppose the thing is, expensive car, rich bloke. That's my next target.
Could be. I've never had any men approach me with that attitude.
I've never had this problem. I spent my entire life skint.
No, you were always in the car, right?
I was always in the car.
Well, I mean, like, you know, my husband and I, we joined a group. When we really got into the Porsches, we decided, you know, we'd love to sort of like have something for us as a bit of a marriage bonder. So our common passion were the cars. Yeah. So we rocked up and we joined this group, and I got talking to other ladies, and, you know, what I sort of found quite quickly was that, you know, there was nothing solely for us.
Yeah.
Nothing solely for women who could just sort of bond over their cars and take them out. I mean, I remember going out on a wee drive a couple of summers ago, and there was 5 of us girls. The group leader had arranged this. It was a ladies' day, and we went to the Cotswolds. And it was a beautiful day, and I had the roof down in my car. And everywhere we went, what I could hear people say, lady Porsche drivers. And I mean, there's something about being in a Porsche convoy anyway. But when you're with females and somebody says that, you get the hairs rise in your arms. It's exciting. And I thought, well, gosh, I love this sort of thing. So let's just do something for us. Yeah. And, you know, I've got a nice sort of base of ladies that I know. I mean, quite a few of them, it's their husband's cars. They'll come along, but a few of them have their own. And I think with Ruby and the Blonde, what we wanted to sort of reach out to was the lady drivers.
Yeah.
The ladies whose partners have Porsches who might decide to send them out in it to Ruby and Blonde. We'd like to do that as well.
Yeah.
And we also, I mean, for me, I've had this passion for years. And, you know, my husband says he's quite lucky because we go off to a dealership or he sees something and I'm like, buy it, across pista, you know. And he says, you know, it's great when you've got a lady behind you who's saying, buy that car, get that, because they're passionate as well. So, you know, he has no worries. So I'm hoping that the ladies who sort of think, oh, what's all the fuss about, will suddenly sort of realise that actually this is great. These cars are wonderful. This is what they can do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and encourage my husband or my partner to go and get new ones. So that's kind of my ploy.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is, I've got my first ever meet this weekend, tomorrow, in fact.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, the advertising's been working, but we're going to be doing cars and coffee. We're going to be doing drive out because I love.
I hope you're not going to be discussing which cafe sells the best scones or scones.
Oh, no, leave that to somebody else's club. Well, I want to do such cool things. Last weekend we were in Cornwall, wrecking out a lovely route with our partner company, Pirate Runs, which is for everybody, men, ladies. I want to do collabs. I'm not sort of here to tread on anybody else's toes or steal members from other clubs. We're here to complement and just fill that gap in the market that I think is quite obvious that does need filling. So we've got lots of exciting ideas, and it's not just going to be about scone recipes or childcare or
all wearing the matching sweatshirts.
Exactly. No, nothing to do with merch. No, that's not my scene. That's not my cup of tea. But we just want people that generally love the cars, ladies who just like to get a bit more out of their cars, expand on the friendship group, and let's just see how it goes and where it takes us.
You mentioned like driving quickly. There's nothing apart from all the speed cameras which now litter the highways and byways of England, along with pothole-filled roads.
Yeah, Surrey is full of potholes, and that's where I'm based.
And don't take this wrong, because there's enough men guilty of this as well. How many of your lady members or lady owners or lady drivers actually do drive them and don't just putter around in them?
I've got a great friend called Ange, and she's got a 997, and she goes like the clappers.
Yeah.
And generally, the ladies that I know like to sort of put their foot down. So I'm feeling quite confident there's going to be a lot more out there who like to drive a car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And would you consider doing track days or anything like that to let the women who own or drive Porsches actually discover what these cars can do?
Oh, yeah. We're happy to take on board any ideas that people want. I'm doing a track day in a few weeks' time. And so hopefully, I can bring ladies to that sort of thing. One thing when we got our cars that Porsche are very good at, it's a new car, they'll send you off to their hub at Silverstone, and you get to do things like skid pad training.
Yeah.
You get to hoon around a track, and I absolutely loved it. I'd never done anything like that before.
Yeah.
And so, any idea, we'll do it. If I get enough interest, then we'll take ladies to track days, circuit events, anything and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you been able to get any of the Porsche dealers interested? Because, lots of as I was saying before I went on air, I'm involved with a company called Specialised Automotive Services, and they have owners club gatherings there. They get guided round the workshops and the body shop. Ultimately, they hope that some of them will start to bring their cars in for maintenance. But have you been able to get any dealers or any specialists interested in getting all you girls to go and visit them?
My local dealer is in Guildford. Excellent Porsche centre. Totally recommend to everybody. They know what I'm doing, and they've said we're more than happy for you to come and use the facilities, to meet the ladies there, to do walkarounds, to start meet off from there. So they're very supportive.
Yeah.
Obviously there's Porsche Club GB, which affiliate with a lot of the Porsche centres, and they do some cool walkarounds and that sort of thing. But
because there used to be, besides Porsche Club GB, there was an offshoot. I don't know whether that still exists or not, but do they exist, and are you involved with them?
They have Typec, which is the independent Porsche enthusiast club, but these bigger clubs tend to keep to themselves. They do their own thing. They have massive followings. A lot of them are quite good if you want to sort of bring people along. That's that idea. But, they're so well established. They've been going for so many years. They have a big market for that sort of thing. And we're sort of little fish just starting off. But, I'm learning so much from these groups. And I'm getting some good guidance that, my business partner and myself, we're just going to let it evolve organically and see what happens.
Now, the other thing is, I mean, you're in the fortunate position of being able to buy new or nearly new or a lot of the, slightly say, more desirable versions of the 911. Have you spoken to any women who would like to own a 911 of whatever era and give them advice and say, look, you don't need to buy a GT3. You don't need to buy an RS. You can go out and buy... a friend of mine just bought a 22-year-old 911 and he hasn't paid a fortune for it. And it's buy wisely, of course, but he hasn't paid. But it's a cracking car. It's now his daily car. I mean, do you offer advice to the ladies and say, look, you don't need to spend high 5-figure or 6-figure sums on owning 911s? You can pay. I know it's still a decent amount of money, especially in today's current circumstances. But £25,000, if you buy wisely, will give you a good, usable 911.
I mean, the community on a whole, you see so many different models, you see so many different years, all different colours, shapes and sizes. The whole range you see from bargain basement up to, ridiculous amounts of money for these cars. And I think, with my car, it's quite a striking colour, so I get people flocking to it anyway.
Yeah.
And, you swap your stories. You get a lot of admirers, you get a lot of Porsche owners, you get a lot of non-Porsche owners who would love to buy the brand.
Yeah.
And I think when you think of Porsche, you think of big money, don't you?
Yeah.
Buying new, everything's 100, 150k plus.
Yeah.
And, the average Joe doesn't have that sort of money.
No.
And so, what we found, I mean, we're on our 15th Porsche so far, and they've all been fairly newish.
Yeah.
And my husband has financed a few. And when you sort of go into the finance aspects, you realise actually that these cars become affordable for newer ones.
Yeah.
But then, it leaves you to look on sort of the Auto Trader pages. And, we'll always recommend people do this because everything suits any budget.
Yeah.
And, you don't have to have this flash 100k plus car. You can have something that you've maybe spent 10 or 15k on, maybe a bit less, and they still keep going for years and they're still lovely and they're still beautiful. Yeah. And so you just sort of spread that word and, I think it's a real eye-opener.
I mean, the one thing is, I was talking to somebody a while ago and the guy who's just bought the one for 20 odd. If you look at how much a modern Volkswagen Golf will cost you, especially one of the nicer ones, you can be into a Porsche for immeasurably less than a modern Golf. And the Porsche, in my opinion, is a far more desirable vehicle.
Well, it is. I mean, a wee while ago, we were thinking about offshooting.
Yeah.
And we own a Taycan as well at the moment, which is our kind of like family dog teenager car, and it's great. And my husband had bought that on finance, and it was a very, very good deal. And the deal on that sort of finishes next March, and he was having a bit of a throwback to nostalgia. He used to drive Renault back in the day, and they produced this amazing Renault 5 electric.
Yeah.
And the top of the range one is going for stupid money. It's Porsche money.
Yeah.
And so when you start sort of weighing up what's out there, suddenly you think, holy moly, these supercars, because Porsches are supercars, are suddenly on a par with, some of the more kind of routine brands. So it's surprising once you start looking about what you can get.
Yeah. I mean, some of the Porsches that I know women like because they're very, very practical cars are things like the Cayennes and the Macan. Now, we all know a Macan is a very, very pretty and jacked up Volkswagen Golf. But
Don't say that. I had one of those.
But I mean, how many women do you know who drive, shall we say, not the 911s? They drive the SUVs, which are good practical cars. And if you buy wisely, once again, you won't pay a fortune to have one of those in your driveway.
No. So we have owned every model apart from the Cayenne so far.
Yeah.
And I live in a lovely little suburban town in Surrey. Actually, it's the UK's biggest village. And, you tend to recognise other Porsche drivers. You'll wave, say hello, everybody quite friendly. But the majority of women that you see going past are in the big Cayenne and Macans.
Yeah.
And back in the day now, my kids, I've got 3 kids, and there are 2 teenagers and 1 26-year-old now. But back when they were small, I drove an SUV.
Yeah.
Because they were little and you had to transport everything. And I loved it. I loved the safety. I loved the look. I loved everything. And now that I'm older and, I don't need to squeeze babies or toddlers into cars anymore, that's why I went with my true love, which was the 911, instead of sticking with an SUV. But, around thoroughly, your average driver is probably in one of the SUV styles. And, I mean, each car is very unique.
Yeah.
When somebody says to me, Sarah, what's your top 3 out of what you've had? Then I would put my car that I've got at the moment. That's my first. Of course, she's my passion. I'd probably put the Macan GTS that we had as second. And then we did have a GT3 Touring last year. We sold it. I love that car, so that would be number 3. But, they're all very unique. They all have... different levels of what you're looking for in them. I mean, they're great cars. We were lucky enough. I think one of the first ones we drove was a Panamera.
Oh yeah.
And that was like driving an executive cloud around. It was bloody lovely.
Yeah.
So sort of going back to your previous question, if somebody comes to me and says, "What do you reckon about this?" I feel that we're quite in a good sort of space to be able to advise what does what and what you might like in this one, and a Macan, for instance, that has all the good stuff in one car. So, I'll promote that to the cows come home because it's great.
And any of the members, like we were talking earlier on about the early cars, do you find that once one of your members has bought a 911, be it brand new or whatever, do you find they start to take an interest in the history of the marque or what it's done? Its famous drivers. I mean, the ultimate is I still think the ultimate 2 Porsche racing cars are the 917s and the famous 956s, the Rothmans cars. I mean, do you find that people start to develop an interest in the history of them and then go and try and seek out where these races are and go and have a look at them?
I mean, personally, my favourite era was the 80s for the 911s.
Yeah.
And I think, we've driven different makes of car before, but I've never felt passionate about Nissan or Audi or Renault like I have with a Porsche.
Yeah.
And for me personally, Porsche kind of made me feel that I wanted to be part of a community and to know more about it. I mean, I knew quite a bit back from being a younger person.
Yeah.
But, it's a brand which kind of brings people together. And a lot of the women that I know have the older cars and they're very knowledgeable about it.
Yeah.
The women whose husbands have the cars, they tend to be maybe the newer cars. And so it's a pretty brand and they're lovely and they're eye-catching, but they don't know too much about the background.
Yeah.
And I find that, if you join a car club, then a lot of the clubs will organise for you to go off to, I don't know, maybe we had a trip to Stuttgart last year to the Porsche Museum. And that place is fascinating. So, the whole idea about car groups especially is that they want to educate their members and they want to do interesting things and they want to build the brand. And, it's a brand that people generally do want to find out about and they do like the history and they love the lines of the younger cars, the older cars, the air cools. And I mean, the 911, especially though, if you think back to when it was first manufactured to now, you can tell that it's a 911.
Yeah.
And I love that consistency that they've had over years. And I think, if you rock up to one of these lovely old autobahns and you know what a 911 looks like, and then they're just beautiful cars and, beautiful beautiful cars like these, people want to input the time and they want to find out about them. So, generally the ladies that I know at the moment know about their cars, and that's great.
Yeah.
It gives us more stuff to talk about.
And the other thing, of course, is you'll find that, shall we say, the wife of somebody who owns a Porsche, if you can get your hands on them, are you able to say, well, why don't you go and buy your own?
Well, this is what we're hoping will happen. I want to give my passion to, a lovely new lady member whose husband said, take my car along to Sarah's meet. And,
Yeah.
The idea is that she'll love it as much as I do and just say, come on, let's get myself one, or let's go and get a new one or another one.
Yeah.
It works for my husband.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I can get some more enthusiastic ladies out there and see what we can do.
I mean, ultimately, what's been the reaction to your ladies-only club?
Funny enough, I've had a lot of men approaching me about it. They're like, can we come? And I'm like, no, it's ladies. It says ladies. It's been very positive, actually. There's nothing really out there for us girls.
Yeah.
I mean, Porsche Club have an offshoot, which is Porsche Bells.
Yeah.
And then there's a wonderful lady called Tanya who runs a club called Women in Wheels, but she does all sorts. It's not just Porsche.
Yeah.
And she seems to be very successful. So she's a bit of a kind of a hero of mine. So I see that there is a market. I'm hoping that ladies will want to come.
Yeah.
It's all been very, very positive, and we've had a lot of feedback from around the country. A lady in Yorkshire said, God, could you come to me? And that's our aim. We're not just sort of like looking after Surrey, Sussex and Hampshire. We want to become people that will travel out and, visit different parts of the country, Yorkshire or something. And, there'll be enough interest for me to collect ladies there. And the idea is to collab with some of the bigger groups. So, you're always going to be sort of collecting people and taking them from A to B and, sort of opening people's eyes to what is out there.
Yeah. Have you found that there's a part of the country where there tends to be a greater number of ladies who drive Porsches?
The south of England, Surrey, there's a lot of Porsches. My business partner, Leon, he actually lives in Cornwall. And he comes up to sort of like do stuff with me. And he says, Sarah, Surrey is Porsche capital, whereas Cornwall, maybe not so. So I definitely think it's the more affluent counties around London, which probably have a higher percentage of these beautiful cars.
Yeah.
And, not just Porsche, but you have the big brands out there like Aston Martin and Ferraris. We have a lot of Ferraris around this part of the world. So
Yeah.
I definitely think there's a good concentration where I am.
And how many ladies do you come across that you've been able to educate into the fact that the Porsche that she's driving, whether it's hers or her husband's, isn't just, shall we say, a fashion accessory, that Porsches were always built to drive and to do things with?
When we were looking at the different cars in our budget, Porsche stood out purely because I nagged my husband, we got to get one with my passion.
Yeah.
But they stood out because out of all these fabulous sports cars, supercars, they are daily drivers.
Yeah.
You don't mind putting the mileage on them. They are there to be driven. And the women that I know who own Porsches drive them.
Yeah.
And they know what to do with them. They love them. It helps that they look so pretty, but that's not all.
Yeah.
It's an experience to drive one. And personally for me, I feel very privileged and honoured to be able to drive my car.
Yeah.
But it does so much. It's beautiful to look at, but it does so much.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing about them. I mean, I've always said, due to what I used to do, I used to spend a lot of time in Europe. And the one thing that always struck me as unusual, you could walk through a German or an Austrian city and find a 911 just parked at the side of the road, and nobody thought it was an unusual thing to be parked at the side of the road. The Europeans, especially the Germans and the Austrians, have or had a very different attitude to them because they were such a practical everyday car. To see one parked on a side street for a couple of days because the owner hadn't gone out for a while, nobody looked askance at this. In England, people would be absolutely stunned that you'd left your 911 parked at the side of the road, up a side street. There is a different European attitude towards them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, if I go and park up somewhere, I maybe are a little bit sort of wary about where I'm taking the car. But there's been no problems with leaving it overnight.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I was to take a Ferrari out, whether I'd feel the same.
Yeah.
And I mean, we drove into Europe this last year, beginning of summer. We took my husband's Spider RS and we started off in Stuttgart. And I mean, every other car is a Porsche.
Yeah.
But it's the attitude. I mean, there's so many. It's
It's like go to Ingolstadt, every other car is an Audi.
Totally. I mean, my he's got this really cool black and yellow Spider RS, and people ask about it everywhere. It's a magnet.
Yeah.
And in Germany, well, not so, but we drove it from Germany through Italy, through France, and everybody loved this car. For kids, loved it. Italian kids didn't really know it was a Porsche. They knew it was a fabulous car, but it was just so cool to see the teenagers like, oh, your car is beautiful. Can we take photos for Instagram? And they all love it. And it's a really nice attitude, whereas the French are a little bit cooler, aren't they?
Yeah.
But, everywhere you went in this car, people just loved it. So I love that about driving Porsches. They're very easy to drive. There's lots of them in the UK, but they're still head turners.
Well, the one thing about the French is they are greater lovers of their own brand, which is why the Alpine A110, the reintroduction of it, has worked so well. I mean, there are hundreds of them in France. So the French might look upon the Porsche as a bit of an interloper, though there are plenty of 911s in France.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had a little convoy of our group going through, and but the best kind of reaction was the Italians. They just love sports cars. They don't care that it's not one of their own. They just over the moon to see them. And that was just lovely driving in Italy.
Well, the one thing I've always loved about the Italians is you'll see a sign that says slow roundabout. No, the Italians regard that as a chicane, and we'll see how quickly they can go around.
You mean put your foot down, don't mind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So if somebody wants to if a Porsche driving lady wants to get in touch with you, how does she go about it?
She can look on the Instagram page that we have. We have a Facebook presence.
So what on Facebook it's Ruby and the Blonde, isn't it? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all one word, Ruby and the Blonde, an E at the end of blonde.
Yeah.
It's the same on Instagram. We do have a website, rubyandtheblonde.com. And I also advertise on a lot of the Facebook forums.
Yeah.
So, any queries, any interest, then ladies, please feel free. I sort of mentioned that we had interest from men. So we see, especially in the part of the world where I am, there's a need for a driving group for men.
Yeah.
So we've just created one called Pirate Run. So again, you can find that on Insta and Facebook, and at some point we'll start up a website, and we'll do collabs with each other, and hopefully at the end of the day we'll have a package for everybody, not just the ladies. But for me, I just wanted to give the girls a space where we can do our own thing, basically.
Sarah Rhodes, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Can I wish Ruby and the Blonde and all the ladies who drive Porsches, who drive them properly, all the best. But apart from that, Sarah Rhodes, thanks very much for joining me on the Backseat Driver.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Mark. Real pleasure. Thank you so much.